Well, now while I'm presenting my screen, just during this period where I want to also find out whether or not you can see the screen I'm presenting, I like to run through some basic information that you would need for this, these sessions that we're going to be having. Remember, it's a workshop. It's going to be very hands-on, right? I did take into consideration that a number of us will be joining from our mobile devices. Hence, some of the tools that we would be exploring will be tools that are easily accessible to you on that mobile device that you are using. However, I would usually advocate, right, that if you have the option of joining this meeting with a laptop or a desktop, it is usually the best option, right? Because it offers you a better experience of this entire training module, right? But if all you have at hand presently, or all you have at the moment while you're trying to transition to the laptop or desktop, is a mobile device. One of the things I usually advise also is that you have your mobile device on the landscape mode, right? Right, so you can rotate your screen like this, right? That landscape mode offers you more, screen estates, right? As opposed to the portrait mode where your viewport may be limited, right? So you can go ahead and do that already. Now, while this conversation is also going on, there are a few things that you would need for this training also. And these are things that you can begin to do while I'm sort of rolling them out at the moment. So the first is you will need certain tools, right? If you're on an Android device, you probably want to quickly head to your Google Play Store to download Google Gemini. And alongside that, if you already have Google Gemini, also go ahead and download ChatGPT. They would form some of the core tools that we will be using for today's class, for today's training. Again, on that note, I should also even chip this in that we've tried as much as possible, because of the diverse range of people that we anticipated would join these meetings. We've tried as much as possible to limit these tools also to tools that wouldn't require you so much to pay for them to get access to them, right? There's a wide range of AI tools out there, some of which have the premium versions, the freemium ones, the premium ones, and so on and so forth. But because we understand that not everyone, may have that leverage to purchase this premium version, we've also tried to limit them to tools that also have a free tier that offers you some level of flexibility to ease things for your day-to-day activity. Let me conclude for this part to say that because this is going to be a training, an intensive hands-on training, along the way, every of these activities that we would be engaging with, you would need to, document them in some way, shape, or form. I'll share with you that document, right? I'll share with you that document that we'll be using, right? Where we want every participant to have sort of like a notebook, an active document that they can always refer to at any point in time during this training or, after this training. There's this saying that says, age-long saying that the shortest pencil is better than the sharpest brain, right? And that's sort of the methodology, the idea that we've employed this time around. Yes, you won't be using a pencil. If you do have a pencil, something to jot this down with, that's perfect. But otherwise, you can, double task with your mobile device or laptop, whatever the case may be. Okay, so this is a good place to confirm if we can all see my screen. You can leave me a thumbs up, just about any emoji that you're most excited about, to confirm for me that you can see my screen. I am also actively looking at the chat box. Should, in case during this meeting you have questions, you need clarification, I'm actively looking at the chat box, and I would always attend to you uh, as those questions or concerns in. Okay. So can everyone hear me? Are we set? Are we ready to go? Those that are transitioning, are you ready? And then we can kick.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, so as a way of quick introduction, right, this is the AI powered Pro, right? This is week 1. We're having another session next week, and today we want to focus on, the what we've called the productivity engine, right? The productivity engine. There are 3 main things that we'll be looking at in particular, right? We'll be looking at, the prompting, automation, and research. In other words, using AI tools or how to prompt AI tools to get the best result. And then, of course, we're looking at how to automate certain tasks that you may have on your desk for those that are working. And of course, for those who are sort of SMEs, your entrepreneurs, there are certain tasks that you also may want to automate. And this class would also do well to address some of these things. And of course, we'll look at how to sort of engage AI for research purposes, not just the general information that, the majority seem to be using it for at the moment. Okay. All right. So, just to hammer on that again, I've mentioned these 3 things that we'll be looking at today, right? Going to master prompting. I know that for the majority of people that we have today, the best that happens when you are prompting some of these LLMs, right? That's large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and some of these other tools. Claude is one, and Gwen is one, and the list just in today's world, the list is almost endless. When you prompt these things, when you interact with these tools, you at best just ask, very vague questions, right? And so what that AI model does for you is it also gives you a very generalistic, response. It generates those general responses. It may not be, too specific. Yes, some of us go the extra mile to refine the prompts, to make them even better, to give us something that is nice, that sort of is tailored to address the particular issue that we were looking to address. But you will find that that may still not be the perfect route to go. And so I'll share with you one of the rules that we usually adopt whenever we are prompting just about any AI tool. So let's get right into it. And then remember, I said this is going to be very practical. So just the moment I explain, we'll dive into, seeing how these things actually work with real AI tools. Okay, so AI prompting. Now, that's a term that it's been thrown around so much, right? I know that it's not a new term, right? AI prompting. Basically, AI prompting is simply referring to the ability for you to query any AI model with the aim of getting you or giving you or generating for you the best possible response, the best possible result. And this is important because a lot of times these AI models, they hallucinate. And that's because they've been trained on so many text input, and they may sometimes hallucinate. Their responses to you may not be as accurate, or they may be very generic. They may not address the particular issue for which you have prompted them for. Now, the number 1 rule you should have at the back of your mind for whatever prompt that you want to give to any AI model is to always put them in this, subject them to this, what we call the CTC formula, right? The CTC formula. I should mention that if you do a bit of research online, you find out that a lot of people have a more expanded form of this formula, right? But if continue to dig, deep into those, expanded forms of this formula, at the base level, this is what you will find, right? Every AI model has to have a persona, right? There has to be that context, right? And by context, you are telling the AI what role to take. And so some people make this into role playing, right? These are some of the things that you can do, tweak when you are prompting an AI model that also helps the results to be more refined, right? There has to be that context, and then there has to be the task, right? Immediately after the context, you want to, jump straight to the task, what you want that AI model to do at that particular time, at that particular point, right? And then finally, in summary, you want to have your constraint. And your constraint simply talks about the structure in which you want the results to be presented. You want the result to be presented as like I have on the screen, examples in 150 words, bulleted point, what tone do you want that result to come out in? Do you want it to be a very professional tone? Do you want it to be a casual tone, right? And so on and so forth. So let's quickly jump into it. So I'll share my other screen now. And on that other screen, if you give me a second, I have one of my AI tools already loaded up. As a matter of fact, I didn't think this would be needed, but I might as well just add up ChatGPT to this list. And the beautiful thing, again, like I said, if you're using a desktop version, the beautiful thing is that the new update to Google Chrome now allows you to have sort of like a split screen of two tabs together side by side, and that's what I'll do now. So on one end, I want to have my ChatGPT, and then on the other end, I'm just going to have my Google Gemini. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. And then this way, we can sort of contrast, compare and contrast the responses that these two things will give to us. So let's start with a new chart on this end. Please confirm again that you can see my screen. I would love that I get that response either in the chat box or as a reaction. I'm waiting. All right, great, seeing your screen. Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much. So let's start very simple. Now, you can also follow alongside, right? You can follow alongside, right? All it takes is just, you can maybe minimize if you're using the mobile, just minimize the Zoom meeting and then open up the app that you downloaded earlier on, Gemini or ChatGPT. Right, so let's start very simple, right? I'm just going to copy from my master sheet here so that we don't have to spend a lot of time typing. I have to think through some of these things. And this prompt simply is saying, write a 5-step strategy for a graduate to get noticed by recruiters on LinkedIn in Nigeria, right? I'm just going to hit enter on both. Right. Today, we'll not be talking about some of the extra functionalities that these tools offer. Right. We're just going to go off the top here. We're not going to talk about all of the bells and whistles that they come with. For example, what I mean by that is some of these tools offer you extra functionality. So there's the pro version, there's a pro model that may suit your taste better. But let's just go with the simplest of all. Like I said, we just consider some of these tools that you can get already with the free tiers and how they can help make your life better. Now, this prompt, as lovely as you may think that it is and look at the response that this has given to us, right, with these two tools. This prompt isn't the optimal, it's not giving us the optimal results that it should give to us. So think about that for a second, right? You can even, if you're trying that on your end, you can read through the response that you are getting. Even though you may like the response, right? You may like the response, but I can assure you that this is not the best that it can be. Someone's mic seems to be unmuted. Please, can we all just confirm that that's not coming from us? Thank you so much. Right. So take, for example, right, this is giving us suggestion on how to optimize our profile search, right? So use professional photos, headline with keywords, not just graduate, right? It's giving us examples, entry-level data analyst, blah, blah, blah. It's an about session. And so this is the response that ChatGPT has given to us. Google Gemini, on the other end, right, has also given us, presented the results also in a step-by-step manner, right? Optimize your profile with local and industrial keywords, right? Recruiters use keywords when they search for candidates, right? Aspiring data analysts and things like this. All of these go into your bio session, your bio section, on LinkedIn and so. Now, again, as beautiful as either of these responses are, they still, I can assure you, are not the best that you can get from these models, right? So now, I want us to quickly come to the chat box section, right? And I want you to tell me in one word or maybe two, right? What's the biggest time drain that you have at the moment? What's that thing that you seem to spend a whole lot of your time trying to sort at the moment, right? If we have people who are entrepreneurs here, maybe that biggest time drain may be brainstorming ideas or refining your product. For some of us who already have a product, right? For some of us who work in a more corporate space, it may be responding to emails or generating meeting summaries and things like that. But I'm interested to know what that biggest time drain is for each and everyone on this call at the moment. You can do that in the chat box. You can leave it in one word, 2 words, and let's know, let's sort of share that idea. Okay, someone, I believe that's in the education space, says getting assignments done, right? If Mr. Oluwatimileyin can be more specific, what kind of assignment, that would also be very lovely for us. That information will be very lovely if it's something that you can share. Do you mean assignment in the sense of academic assignments, or task assignments that are just, generally given to you at the workplace? Of course, while we also wait for the others to have that input. I mean, for some of us, you could even be writing business emails, right? Project, research work. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that response. All right, good. We're streamlining it already. Thank you so much. All right, so drafting legal documents such as deed or contract of sales and so on and so forth. Now, one of the reasons why I'm collecting these intentionally is also, hopefully I can sort of draft these examples draft these time drains into the examples that I'll be sharing, and we can look at how, to get it done a bit easier to save you, these useful times. Okay, so that we don't, exceed our time also. Remember, I'd explained, the CTC formula, right? We talked earlier about the context. Everything must have a context when prompting these AI tools. There has to be a task also, and of course, there has to be the constraints, right? Sort of the structure, right? Now, let's take the legal documents, right? Let's take that contract of sales as an example, right? let's take that contract of sales as an example, and let's see um, um, how that can be applied to how we can apply this formula, the CTC formula, to a simple prompt. So on Gemini, I'm just going to type prompts simply by saying, generate for me a simple contract of sales, a simple contract of sales, right? Because maybe I want it to be specific, I can tell it to use a fictional industry, except if I believe that's a woman or Mr. Olaya. If you can maybe specify what industry, an example industry where this contract of sales is usually needed, that would be good. Or so maybe instead of a fictional, let's just say contract of sales. I'm trying to think about a random industry at the moment. Oh, someone seems to be annotating on our screen, so just forgive me, and I'm just going to have to quickly clear that. Sorry about that. And then just give me a second, and then I will stop others from annotating on the screen. All right, so property, thank you so much. Okay, so I'm just going to use Ikeja as an example. Of course, you can go ahead. I would believe that in your case, you'll probably be a lot more detailed. Now, at first, this is what ChatGPT and Gemini has drafted for us, right? A simple contract of sale. It has the vendor, which is the seller, the buyer, and so on and so forth. And so whereas and all of the legal term, completion dates and things like that, governing laws and blah 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 and blah blah blah. Perfect, right? Good, right? Likewise, ChatGPT. Now, I should also mention, I think we talked about this in the previous meeting that we had. So now the same prompts, I copied the prompts I used for Gemini and put it on ChatGPT, and you notice that the responses are different. And these are some of the things you also need to consider when using these AI tools. You have to think about what AI tool is best for which job, what AI tool seems to give me the better response in certain use cases, and so on and so forth. Okay, now let us apply the CTC to this. So that same prompt generates a simple contract of sale. Yes. This time around, as opposed to, I think someone's mic is unmuted. Please, can we confirm again? Can we confirm someone's mic seems to be unmuted? Can we just... Okay, Mr. Olawale, or I'm not sure. I think that's Mr. Please, please mute your mic. Olanrewaju, Mr. Olanrewaju Kende, please also help us mute your mic. Thank you so much. All right. So now I'm going to add a persona to this, right? So instead of saying generate a simple contract of sale, as a matter of fact, I'm going to remove this contract of sale. Generate a simple rather. So I'll start with a persona. So you are a lawyer. Oops, I was going to start typing that here. So you a lawyer, an experienced lawyer, in Lagos, Nigeria, right? Lagos, Nigeria. I want to think that, I know that I know to some extent that, several lawyers, specialize in, different kind of things, some in corporate law and so on. So if it helps to also add more details here, by all means, go ahead and do that. All you are doing in essence is adding a persona who you want the model to act as, what role you want it to take at that moment, right? So because I don't have a whole lot of knowledge here, I mean, I'll just stop here at experienced lawyer. But if you want to go ahead to add more, information on what persona you think is the best persona in that case, you can also go ahead and add that to this. So this for us will be our context, right? And then generate for me a contract sales for a property in Lagos, Nigeria. This is the task, right? And then you may want to have, the constraints, right? The constraints may then include some of the peculiarities of the case, right? Some of the peculiarities that that case has, how you want, that contract of sales to be presented, right? Do you want the contract of sale to include things like the vendor, witness, all of this, some of this information, default remedies? I mean, if all of this applies, that then goes into the constraints that we are talking about, right? It goes into that constraint. But again, because I don't have a lot of knowledge on, what you would typically be a constraint in this case scenario, I'll just have these two options, right? I'll just have these two. I've given it a context, a persona, and then I've asked it to generate this task. Just as a summary, I'm going to add a phrase here that says use constraints that apply in the Lagos context for typical scenarios like this. All right. And then I'm just going to copy this, and then I'm just going to send this and also do that on ChatGPT also. And you will notice already that I can almost tell you that the response that ChatGPT gave earlier will be very different from this new response, because now we have added some context, we've added some task, and then roughly I've just included a sort of constraint to it, even though it's not too specific. Now you can see that, ChatGPT now has gone ahead to generate a better output, right? And so the essence of this little demonstration, this first activity that we have done, is to help you see that that formula is the formula that you should use going forward when prompting any, model, right? And again, if you come back to Gemini, now you can see that even Gemini is now much more specific, much more detailed, as opposed to, what we had in the earlier version, right? What this means is, if this was my industry where I'm more experienced in, if I provided that context, if I provide it in that manner, right? The context as a persona, right? The task that I want you to carry out, and the constraint, it will generate for me, a much better, output. Now, in some cases, let me summarize quickly. In some cases, we have found that, or what you would usually experience is that some people are not so experienced also in prompting, right? So it is also one trick that people also use is they ask the AI to refine their prompts, right? So they then take that refined prompt and feed it to the model. So even though in your own quote and unquote little knowledge, you've added context, task, and persona and constraint, but you may still not be sure. Oh, I may have left something out. This may not meet world standards, and so on and so forth. You can tell the AI to refine that prompt for you and give you a better prompt that will generate, a much better result. It will take that prompt that you have given it and then refine it and then give to you the results it then presents to you or generates for you will be a refined version of that product. Of course, you still have to, sort of proofread to be sure that it has not hallucinated and added something that, does not really meet your particular position. And you may want to, edit those parts out or change those parts out. But if the result is good, then you can go ahead to, feed that into the AI model and then it will generate something that is extremely detailed and tailored for your response. Some of the leading thoughts in this industry is we are moving gradually from humans like yourself, myself, prompting these AI tools. We are now moving to the agentic age. And what that is, in a nutshell, is there are agentic platforms where AI does all of the task of prompting, analyzing, refining, and then reprompting again. So it's sort of like a loop, right? A typical use of that agentic mode would be for people who, have automated with an AI agent their posting, maybe social media posting activities, right? So a typical AI agent would write, for example, a particular post and then post on your behalf to your social media stream. And then depending on the response, the engagement, the likes, the comments, it can take all of those feedbacks, right? Without your consent, it will take all of those feedbacks and then go back to the prompts that he used initially and refine the prompt based on this data set. It will change the prompt and then use the new prompt to generate a new prompt, right? A new result. And then it keeps doing that over and over again. It's keep iterating, using that loop over and over and over again. And that's what you see some of these big companies, some of these big influencers, and all of these things. That's what some of these people use to get some of those high engagement. Yes, it has its own pitfalls that we also need to be careful about, and so on and so forth. But today is not. I just thought to just chip that in, right? Another example could be of a persona could be this, for example, which is telling the AI model to act as a senior real estate consultant in Ikoyi. Those in the education space, it may be to act as the director of education or an experienced educational instruction creator, right, or developer, right? In for those in the in the social space, it can take a whole lot of forms, right? Just give it. What I'm saying in essence is give it as much context as is needed, right? Give it as much context as is needed, right? And so we can immediately begin to try this out. So I'm going to allow a few seconds for some of us to start to think about. So for Mr. I believe it was Oluwatimileyin that talked about the schoolwork, the school projects, and the research work. For whatever topic that it is, whatever research work, whatever topic it is on, you want to go that route. So If it's in physics, for example, if it's maybe in quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and whatever the case may be, that you want to give it a context like, oh, you're an experienced professor in quantum mechanics and so on and so forth. You may want to even add some names in those fields, some notable names in those fields, right? And then you move from that context to the task that you want it to carry out for you, and then you can now add your constraints, maybe in 150 words, in 1,000 words, paragraph by paragraph, bulleted points, and and so on and so forth. So let me just do this. Okay, someone is asking, what about videos? Are we also going to talk about videos? Are we to just tell in the prompt that we want video result? Okay, if you add to your point, to your prompt that you want just video result, at best, LLMs would generate for you a video script, right? They will generate script for you, maybe voiceovers, a detailed script on what the scene will look like, the mood, the lighting, and all of those. But it may not go to the extent of giving you the video output, like the MP4 or HV, HEV, the HVEC format, right? And that's because these are large language models, right? Basically for text, right? ChatGPT, Gemini, these are for text. Now, they do allow you extra functionalities. I wasn't going to go to talk about this. I mentioned it earlier that I don't want to talk about all of the bells and whistles that these tools offer, but they do offer, some very, very good options. For example, you notice that if I click on this cog icon, for example, I can turn, instead of just the text output that Gemini will give to me, I can ask it to switch to a model that allows it to generate images. I can switch to a model that allows it to generate sort of like a canvas, like a drawing, organized in a structure manner, right? It could be for guided learning purposes, right? Now, if this does not still meet your taste, right? There are several companies, even Google themselves, they offer a number of video generating. Now, those we are going to generative AI now, right? They are generative AI that helps you to generate videos, audios, images, and so on and so forth, right? A very beautiful example would be Google View, for example, right? Google View. So let's see the Google View. View 3 is their latest model. You can even access it from Flow. Flow is also another wonderful tool that for Google that generates good video output. Another thing that you would normally find, is it my stuff now? No, not my stuff. Is the gems. Yes, this is what I was trying to get to, right? To a very large extent, Google offers you what we call gems, right? Now, I've clicked on gems, and I think this is also accessible on the mobile app, those of us that are using mobile apps. And then you immediately see a number of tools, some of them experimental, some of them full-fledged already, right? And so there's this experimental gem for creating storybooks. There's the chess champ. There's the brainstormer, right? For inspiration, fresh ideas, and so on and so forth. Now, it even gives you examples, ideas for parties, gifts, businesses, and more. Right? These are some of the things that you want to explore in that your workspace. So your boss has been hammering on you. What next can we do for our workplace, right? Or you are constantly looking for ways to improve your output. What creative inputs can I bring to my workplace? These are some of the things that you want to use, right? You want to, for example, try out this brainstormer gem, right? And then give it a prompt, tell it of course, the persona, give me the context of your office space, what you do, and things like that, and then move straight to the task, right? I'm a junior analyst or I'm a junior intern or whatever it is. I want to suggest new groundbreaking ideas, strategies that my business can employ, and so on and so forth, and give it some of these constraints. If you are finding it difficult to put all of those thoughts together again, throw it to the AI, ask it to refine that prompt, right? It will give to you a better refined prompt, and then you can take that prompt, proofread it, and then feed it to the model, and then it will generate something, good for you. So there are example prompts here. For example, help me plan a large family reunion to host at my house. We are reaching the end of the year session already. These are things that you want to consider. Maybe your workplace, you are considering this end of the year party and things like that. These are some tools that can, help refine those, ideas and so on and so forth. All right, so Google Flow. Let's just create quickly. I'll just show you. So this is one of Google's tools for videos, right? For videos, right? There are many other video tools out there. Gwen also does a very good job for video outputs and so on and so forth. So let's see if we can create with Flow. And of course, the list, goes on and on and on. Some of these tools are also smart enough that if you ask, for example, even in Gemini, if you ask it to generate a video for you, it may actually go ahead and generate a video for you, right? It may actually go ahead and do that. It may actually go ahead and do that, right? The only downside of that would be whatever video it generates for you here, you may not be able to tweak it furthermore. Why? Because Gemini isn't made necessarily for, that video generation task. Right? But if you go to their more advanced tools that offer this, that are designed solely for those, you can maybe extend a scene, change a character, talk about character consistency, right? Which is for some of us who, generate AI characters. You want your character to be consistent, across many scenes, right? If you have created maybe a teenage boy who loves reading books, he has a particular nerdy look. You want that, if you are generating another scene, you want that same, character to be consistent. You don't want the looks to change, and so some of these things. Those, Soul AI tools can help you, do that. Okay. So I was going to try this out just to be sure that we get this. I would love that some of us, show me maybe in the chat section some of these prompts that you've made for yourself, for your workplaces, right? I want to be sure. I just want to have a quick look, and just so that we can rub minds together on whether or not it meets the criteria we talked about when we talked about context, right? Give it that persona, right? For example, if you notice in this last prompt, act as a senior real estate consultant in Ikoyi. That's the context, right? Write a brief investment pitch for a luxury apartment. Those are typical things that people in the real estate would love to do, would usually do from time to time, right? And it's gone ahead to generate something in that line. Notice that only catered for context. That did not cater for the task. Okay, that catered for context and task, but did not cater for constraints, right? For constraints. So if we can please, those of us who are following actively, please share, those prompts. And I want to take a quick break to also mention to us that after now, starting tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just before we meet, I think it ends on Wednesday, on a Thursday, there's going to be a project that will be shared where we'll be required to use these skills that we have learned, right? You're required to apply them. So it's a good practice that you are trying them out now as we are, having this conversation. Remember, it's a workshop, hands-on, right? Try it out. Share your prompts. There's also going to be a document that will be shared where you'll be required to share with us the prompts that you used and the results that AI generated for you, right? That just sort of helps us, checkmate to be sure that everyone is following. Right? Remember, it's going to be a certified course training, so these are very important. We want to be sure that everyone really is benefiting as much as they can from this meeting. Okay, so we've done justice to a very large extent to some of these things. Excuse me. Okay. Okay, how do we get the apps? Do we download from Play Store and start using? Are they free or we need to pay for them? Yes, Google Gemini is free to download from the Play Store. ChatGPT is also free to download from the Play Store, right? That's one of the things I had mentioned earlier at the beginning of the training, that some of the tools that we have considered for this training, we took into consideration ease of access because we know that a lot of you will be joining from a mobile device. So we've considered ease of access. We've also considered the pricing on them. So we've gone for freemium tools that have that free tier that allows you to test them out, use them, and to a large extent benefit from their functionalities. Right. And that's why you will notice I've not been, hammering on some of the tools that will require you to pay. Right. So these are free things that you can use, already. Right. So our first task, let's quickly do this together. Right. So for whatever industry you're working in, if you have not downloaded it already, or maybe your mobile device is not so much, the high-end mobile device, just come back to, the Zoom meeting and leave this in the chat section, right? So you don't have to actually, what I'm saying is you don't have to actually, if you cannot download them at the moment, don't bother. But let's see what that prompt will look like, right? Use yourself as a case study, or maybe you want to make up a fictional case study. That's also fine. But let's see how you would refine your prompt this time around. Let's see a persona, define a persona, give it a task, and then give it some constraints. So you can leave that as a chat as a message in the chat section, and then we can go ahead, and maybe make corrections if need be. And maybe if I find it also interesting, I can also maybe even help you try it out here, and so that everyone can also benefit and see how this is how it will look, the result it will generate, and so on and so forth. Now, while we are doing that, I have intentionally, keep this in. Again, these are things that will help ease your workflow. It will help save you time, right? So you are driving, you need to type a message, type a response, brainstorm an idea, or you are in the workplace, right? You need to multitask a lot of times. It's not every time that you need to actually, type in your, use your text, use your keyboard to type, right? Sometimes you can even use, your text to speech. Now, I've been using text to speech for the longest, right? And I can tell you for free that it has improved so much, right? It has improved so much, particularly the Google text to speech or the voice typing function, right? It has improved so much. So that's something that I give a thumbs up. I endorse it. It's something you should get in the habit of using. Now, how do you get access to this? Please, let's keep the task coming in. I'm just sharing this on the side, right? Let's keep this task coming in. I'm just sharing this on the side so that um, this is another thing that will help ease your work a lot. Now, you're on the Android device. Usually, every Android device will come with a default keyboard, right? Take it from me, that default keyboard that you have been using to respond to messages or type on WhatsApp is not the best keyboard that your Android device can make use of. So when you see a lot of people who are very productive in your work, in their workspace, right, or productive in school, and so on and so forth, they're always responding to chats, always, on your company group WhatsApp, always. A lot of times, it may not necessarily mean that they are always typing and all of that. These are some of the things that they use to sort of ease their workflow. So again, on the Google Play Store, you can download the Google keyboard, right? The Google keyboard, right? If you download that keyboard, it gives you extra functionality. If your default keyboard comes with voice typing, it may not be as accurate, right? And that's because your mobile device, they are not necessarily in the business of making softwares that can convert your voice to text. They just give you that feature as a very basic feature. It is not the best that it can be. But if you download the Google keyboard on Android, on iOS, right? Google has a team that is, that specializes in that kind of technology. So they've gone so far. I mean, I said earlier, I've been using this for a while now, and I can testify to how much it has improved. Right, improved in terms of how it listens, how it translates very accurately. Before now, if you're not speaking posh English, it will usually make some mistakes here and there. But now you can even set it, you can set your dialect to the Nigerian English, and then it works a whole lot better, right? Whether you are driving and you're talking to your phone, it will literally just be helping you convert that to text, and then you can send it out immediately, right? So I just thought to add that, and that's why you see that I've added this little um, animation here, just to sort of get our interest. These are some of the things that would really help your workplace productivity. And by the way, in case you are wondering why it is AI, right? So the algorithm that the Google keyboard uses now in today's world also has AI infused, into it. And so it's able to resolve that word that you pronounce. It is able to resolve it much more better. Okay, so I'm waiting for our input. Again, this input is to be sure that, we are all actively participating, right? Like I said, once we are done now, I just don't want to take our attention away from this training. You will get that document that we will require that you share some of the prompts that you use and the results that the AI tool generated for you. Right? We are doing this so that we are absolutely sure that you have mastered this formula, right? We don't want a situation where after today's class, you are using AI like every other person, and you are not, it's not beneficial to you, or it's still giving you those generic outputs that you may be having. Okay. All right. I want to believe we are still that's still coming in. Uh, Maybe just to also help us. Um, So take, for instance, this particular prompt. Let's say um, you are, and let's say you are a wedding planner who specializes in planning events for top celebrities. Like, that's a good persona, right? That's a good context. It doesn't have to end there. I can provide more and more context for it, right? But just to keep it simple. And then my task would be, it says, write a 3-point job description. Okay, I can literally just have that task there. Write a 3-point job description for this role, and then maybe the constraints, just like it also says here, use action verbs only or use only verbs, so on and so forth. We can even be more specific and say, okay, use verbs, the verbs must fit on one slide, and so on and so forth. Or you can even maybe now generalize for any other constraint necessary for this industry. So that's sort of like a catch-all phrase for me. In case I've missed out anything that is, standard in this industry, I've just added that. Let's fix that constraint. Then, so I've just gone ahead to leave a sample prompt that matches or addresses those three things: context. It talks about the context, the task, and then the constraint. And I mean, I'm also sort of excited to see how that pans out. So I'm just gonna clear the screen, clear all drawings, and then I'm just gonna test this out, and then let's see how this works. Okay. All right, great, 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 great. So this role requires unparalleled executive functions, discretion, and okay, so orchestrate and lead all phases of multi-million-dollar, multi-day destination weddings. So it's done exactly, key responsibility is done exactly, has given me those job, what I ask it for, the job description, the JD. Again, it kept it simple because in my prompt, I'd ask it that it must fit on one slide or any other constraint necessary for this industry. Use only action verbs. See how it has refined that for us. Okay, so let's quickly look at automation. Right? Let's look at automation. So for the person asking about video generation, these are some of the work that are done earlier on, video generation with Flow, right? You can, and of course, you can access it at labs.google. If you just search for Google Flow, right, that's, most easier to, to get to. Just know that it would require some points. It will allow you maybe 1 or 2 generations. It will take some points for those. And if you want to continue, you probably have to pay. Again, remember, we are focused for this training on just some of the free tiers and so on and so forth. Okay. So let's come back. And this time around, let's talk about, we're making good progress, by the way. Let's talk about automation. Right, let's talk about automation, workflow automation. drafting proposals, emails, and summaries are not left out of some of these workflow automations. And then we would then conclude today's meeting, because these are the three things we want to address today, right? AI prompting, which we've done justice to, automation, and then research, right? Using these tools for research. So now, if you are like myself, your Gmail, right? Your Gmail is probably clogged with lots and lots and lots of emails from websites that you have registered on, emails from a dozen and one people that you don't know that have sent maybe bulk SMSs, things you have registered for that you probably even today do not remember. You've signed up for newsletters here and there. You've signed up for updates on new happening, new events and things like that, and so on and so forth. So it's clogged up, so much so that in today's world, it is almost impossible for you to quickly find the emails that pertain to you, that refer to you, or that are important to you. Let's look at maybe two things that you can do to automate that Gmail box to make it even much more friendly for you to use. And then again, remember I talked about drafting emails in the same light. Just before we quickly get into that, the practical hands-on session, in the same light that we shared for the earlier AI prompting, right? You can apply that also to, your workspace. You are either in a case where you are maybe responding to an email and so on and so forth, right? You can use that same formula, that rule of thumb. Right? Okay, I was just reading the message on the chat. Please, if you have any, please leave it in the chat box. I will do well to attend to it. Right? So you can also do that. You can also apply that whenever you are creating an email. Right? You can use that context, task, and then constraint to generate all of this. Right? I would want us to also, of course, this will make up some of the activities that we'll also be submitting over the week, right? We need to actively be trying these things out, right? I'll paint some scenarios for us where we will need to use that skill to generate some things, right? We need to use it to generate some things. All right. So let's quickly get to this automation part, and I'll just head back to my browser, and I will just show you my typical one of my mailboxes. This is a typical mailbox, just like any other Gmail box that you may have. Some of you are most likely accessing this from your mobile device, so it may not be too different from what you would have on a mobile device. Let me see if it's possible for me to access the mobile version on here. I would be glad to quickly switch that. Let's see, just give me a second here. I'm just going to choose Samsung mobile device, and maybe let's refresh this and see if it gives us the mobile version. Okay, so unfortunately, this is not giving us the mobile version, I think. So in case you're wondering what's happening, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to change, even though I'm on a desktop, I'm trying to change it to a mobile view. Hopefully, this mobile view would allow you follow along much more better. Okay, so sorry, I just need to verify that it's me. I think because I changed to the mobile view. I can't use my face now. My fingerprint would be better because I can't use my face because it's what is currently on the web, on the Google, on the Zoom meeting. Okay, so my fingerprints got that sorted. So let's just allow a few seconds. I'm keeping my fingers crossed also that this opens the same way to open on your mobile device. Okay, perfect. It does open. Interesting. I mean, you'll be surprised that I didn't know that would happen. I just wanted to try it out. And let's see if we get access to more settings. All right. Do we have access to more settings? Mobile signature. Okay, I see. So now uh it's limited the functionalities that we can do. So sorry, you may not be able to do this on your mobile device, what we're about to do, but this is something that will sure be helpful, right? It would definitely be helpful. It would definitely be helpful. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch back to the um, desktop version. So I just refresh my page. You should recognize this as a desktop now and then return back to the desktop version. I'm sorry about that quick detour. I was just hoping I could just do that on a mobile device and everyone can benefit. Okay, so you have an inbox that is messed up this way. You can see there's a lot of information, a lot of emails from many people, some of which are Google alerts. I mean, if this was your typical inbox also, maybe for some of us who have our bank account connected to our email address, you definitely see a lot of transactions. And then when someone sends you an email, that email is lost amongst the many emails, right? It is lost there, right? How can we fix this, right? With Gmail, you can automate the way that you sort your messages, every email that comes to you, right? That's one way. That's one thing we would do as automation. Another one we would also look at very quickly is how do I send automated responses? A lot of people, there are tools out there today that would ask you to pay to do this, but a lot of people don't know that you can do this in Gmail. You can send automated responses. So if you are someone who uses your email actively for clients, you can send automated responses. And I'll show us how to do that very quickly now. Okay, so let's start with the first. So Gmail allows us to create what we call rules or filters, right? I'm going to use them interchangeably. Whenever I say rules, just know I'm referring to filters. Whenever I say filters, just know I'm referring to rules. So let's take this, for example. So if you notice on my screen, maybe I'm just going to try to zoom in a little more. Yes, I think this should be good. I have a lot of email from Google, right? I have a lot of emails from Google, Google Workspace, but Google in general, right? Google Workspace, Google in general. So I'm just going to select one, right? I'm just going to select one, right? And then one of the things I want to do first or I'll just go ahead and click on this, this cog icon here, right? This thing that looks like an icon here. Another way you can choose to do it is to click on these three dots, right? And go to filter messages like this, right? Filter messages like this. In other words, I want to take any message that looks similar to this. I want to take them automatically without me having to do it manually, right? Gmail is going to do it for you, right? Take them and then arrange them in a way that I will soon specify, right? So I'm going to click on filter messages like this, right? So you see that it's giving me another dialog box. So the messages I'm referring to now are these messages that have this Google no reply at google.com, right? Any messages like this. If you want to be more specific, you can say any message that has a particular keyword. So let me say workspace, right? Workspace. right? If it has these words, word or words, right? Workspace, right? If it doesn't have, in case that makes sense in your scenario, you can also do that. If it has attachments, if it doesn't have attachment, if the file size is greater than this, if the file size is lesser than this, and so on and so forth, you can specify some rules here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and create this filter. Now there's just one more step. Now that this filter has been created, what do I want to happen to these emails? The moment you notice that this email looks like this, right? It has those words, it has the word workspace. What do I want to happen? There's a number of things. I can decide to mark it as read automatically, so it won't show up as something I haven't read. Because some of you, if you open your email, you'll find 5,000 unread messages. These are some of the things you can do to eradicate those things. And a whole lot of them come from these subscription-based messages, right? So I can decide to skip the inbox. I don't want it to land inside this inbox. I want it to land somewhere else, right? So I've checked that box, skip the inbox, archive it, and archive it inside of a label, apply the label. So presently, you notice I have two labels. I have Jara Spice and then students. Students is where I've decided to, put some emails that may be coming in from some of my students, right? So I can create a new label for this. I'm going to click on new label, and I'm going to call this label Google, right? Maybe Google Workspace. Pardon me, space. For now, I'm not going to put this under any other group. I'm just going to create that, right? So automatically it has selected Google Workspace as the label I want to archive it in. I want to move it to. So you notice here, there's a new label that has been added, Workspace, Jara Spice, and then students, right? In case you also want to forward it to another email, you can do that, right? You can add an address that it will forward it to. If you want to send it to spam directly, you can do that. If you want to delete it directly, you can do that, right? And then finally, I'm just gonna apply. I'm just gonna create this filter, right? I'm just gonna create this filter. All right. So that filter has been created, right? That filter has been created. And if I come here, so it says no conversation with this label. So that's because most likely no conversation, no email match those words that I do, the what's the name that I use. So I'm going to do that now and say, let me mark two. And then I'm just going to again filter messages like this. So now it has gotten more emails that matches those. So I can add workspace that has security, words like security, that has words like Google, and so on and so forth. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click create this filter again. So already you see there are 4 conversations that are matching. Remember, I want to put it inside this. So archive it inside there, and then also apply filters to 4 that are matching. And then it will begin to take them out for me. After a second, this should populate. I believe, yes. So I just needed to refresh. So it has taken all of the emails that match those filters that I used and then put them in the right space. And you can create more rules, more filters if that you want. So you can search using filters also. So you notice that when I search for workspace, for example, it brought out every email that has workspace included in it. And then again, I can create another filter based on those. And then apply this filter to the 33 conversations that are matching, and then immediately it will take all of those everything that matched just now. I'm just going to refresh. It will take every single one of them, into that label, and it will remove it from my inbox. And if you're paying attention to this number earlier, you notice that it's already reducing, right? It's reducing. And so that's how one of the ways you can automate. Now that filter is active. If tomorrow another email is coming into this particular Gmail box, as long as they match those words that I've put in those filters, it will not land on my inbox anymore. It will just automatically come to the Google Workspace inbox label. It will just keep landing there. Okay, so that's one way to automate your Gmail. Another way to automate is to send, automatic response. Now, for this, I want us to create a template of what that automatic response will look like, right? Let's create that template. Now, templates are not activated by default on Google, on your Gmail. They're not activated by default, so you have to activate them yourself. Now, how do you activate those templates? First, you need to come to settings. Settings is just at the top here. Just click on settings and then see all settings. Usually this page can be very daunting, and that's why Google they give you a compressed version. Right? But if you click on all settings, you then see all of the many settings that comes with Google. It can be a lot. It can really, 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 really be a lot. Right? So there are settings for labels, those labels that I created. I can, edit some particular settings for each one of them. There are settings for inbox and so on and so forth. What messages come in, show markers, important, filter, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. The one that we want to use would be in the advanced, right? So let's just come to the advanced settings, right? And then you will notice that there's setting particularly for templates, right? By default, it will be disabled. So you want to take it from disabled to enabled, right? You can enable this, right? Make sure it is enabled. Right? Make sure it is enabled. Now, the moment it is enabled, you want to go ahead and click on Save Changes, right? So for some of you, it will be disabled when you put it on enabled. I'm sorry, I have to go and do that again. When you put it on enabled, you need to click on Save Changes. And I hope as we are doing this, a lot of you are beginning to think of how you will begin to use this practically. Okay, so let me quickly turn back to enabled. I just disabled it. Apologies. Advanced, and then template, enabled, and then Save Changes, and then let's just wait for this to refresh. So now that your template is enabled, let's create a template message. Now, off the top of my head, so I'll click on Compose. I'm thinking, in what kind of situation would you typically need to send automated emails? So you are a business owner, you use your email a lot, right? You don't want to pay for these extra tools that will help you do this, or you want to use your Gmail. Right? You want to use your Gmail. Can we create, so now I'm coming back to ChatGPT and Google Gemini, and this time around using the C2C, the CTC that we learned, I'm going to start by creating a persona, a context. You're an experienced fashion vendor in Lagos, Nigeria, experienced and notable fashion vendor in Lagos, Nigeria. So that's my context. That's the persona. I'm going to go ahead and create a task. Generate an automated email template for users who would like to make inquiries on the products you offer, time, location, etc. And then that's the task. And then, sorry, I just fixed this quickly. Inquiries. And then my constraints would then be structure this with a clear call to action, bullet points where necessary, etc. Sorry, because I was typing fast. I'll just have to quickly adjust some of these typos. All right. So I'm just going to click on enter. And so it has, sort of generated a template for me. So quickly, so one of the things that is missing from here is the business name, right? So so I don't want it to have this, thank you for reaching out to your business name, right? So maybe let me just put, let's call this fashion and you. I just made that up. Fashion and you is the business name. I'm just going to tell it to make up any other details that you may need. Right? I'm just going to quickly do that and then we can see this together. Okay, so fashion and you, and that's filled every other, even though you would agree with me that this is quite lengthy for an automated template, in my opinion. I mean, but if it works for you, fine. If you want a shortened version, you can, of course, add that to the constraints. You can say maybe in 50 words and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to copy this template and then bring it to my email, and then I'll paste this here. Right? I'm just going to paste this here. And then I'll go to more options because I want it to save this as a template. Right? I don't want it to just leave it as a draft. Right? So I'm going to save this as a template, right? Save as draft template, and then save as new template. And then it's going to give me a place to enter the name of this template. Let's just call this F and Y. That's fashion and you, fashion and you inquiries. I'm just going to click on save. So now that's all. That's pretty much all that you need to do, right? So now we have our templates, right? Now we have a template that we want to send to users. So how do we get this to take effect? Very simple. I'm just going to click on this filter again. And this time around, I'm just going to use the has words filter, right? I'm just going to add that simple, very simple rule, right? And remember that if they are asking for inquiries, right, from you, they will usually maybe put the name of your company or the name of the products that you offer. So those are some of the things you want to start looking out for here. So in case there's any word in my inbox, if I get any email in my inbox that has fashion and you, that has this, right? I want you to forward this, right? Fashion and new. I want you to look out for any email that is coming in that has these words, right? This sentence. The moment it has this sentence, what I need you to do, I'm going to create a new filter. What I need you to do, the moment you spot that, is I want you to send them an email, right? Send a template. Which template are we sending now? The template we created, which is F and Y inquiry, right? Send them that template. Not only do I want you to send them that template, just so that you can also keep track of people you are sending template and sending message your clients, right? I think it's also a good thing to add a new label. So I'm just going to quickly create a new label for F&N customer, FNY customers, right? And then make sure you do, there's no need to put it in my inbox, just keep putting it in that label, right? And that's pretty much everything that we need to do for now. As a matter of fact, the fashion and you search word that I put in already matches some conversations, but I don't want to use the existing conversation, right? I'm just gonna, you can see some of the conversations, shown here, right? I'm just going to start afresh, right? I'll ignore the ones that are already in my inbox and I'll just look out for every new one. I'll just create this filter. And that's pretty much all that you need to do. That's all that's needed. Presently, this is empty, right? So I'll use my, and everyone, you can even try this now, right? You can try this. You can go to your email and send an email to this email in the chat section. So send an email to that email in the chat section, but make sure that you put that phrase, fashion and you, right? Make sure you put that phrase. The moment you put that phrase and you click on send to this email, just wait a few seconds. You will get that automated response that we just created. So I'm doing that on my mobile device now just to help us see how that works. So I'm sending to everyafrica@gmail.com. The subject, I'm just going to put more details. So I need more details, and then I'm just going to, hello, fashion and you. Can you please share product details? That's all I'm going to send. It's a very simple sentence. So I've sent it already from my phone, right? I've sent it from my phone. Let's just wait a few seconds, right? Remember I said any email that has that fashion and you, that word, right? It is going to send them that automatic response and also put them inside this folder. So you see this email has been responded. It sends that response and it also puts it appropriately in this label. Right? It automatically helped me. So now I even have a client I can keep track of, right? For as many people that are doing that, the moment you click on send, it will send you the automated email that we created. It will send it to you, and it will immediately add you to this watch list. That, in a nutshell, is some of the two ways that I've shared to you that you can use to improve your productivity. All right, so thank you. Someone has just tried that out, right? The moment it notices that word, fashion and you, it may even just be fashion that it has, right? Or fashion and you together, or some other things. The list can keep growing. You can add as many things, as many words that you want it to look out for, right? The moment it has that, the moment it finds that there, it will send you an automatic response. Right. Thank you for this. Is Kozim. Elisha has also tried that out. And you'll notice that it sends you. Okay, so someone says this was the person's email. Hello, fashion and you. Can you share with me your catalog and pricing? And immediately it will respond with the address, product, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Right? And of course, all of these informations are made up. So in your case, you want to address it to something that applies particularly to you. Okay. It's good timing for us. We've made so much progress again. It's good timing for us. We've looked at automation, two ways that you can use to automate some things for your Gmail. Of course, there are more tools that you can use, to automate certain tasks, right? There are more tools out there that you can use. But remember, some of the considerations that we put is the pricing and the ease of access. And that's why I've limited it to this, very few ones. Zapier is one very good tool out there. It's pricey. It has a free tier also, but it's very pricey. That helps you automate certain tasks that you can do. ClickUp, for those of us who are looking for HRMs, that sort of where you can manage your staff, manage your workflow, emails, reminders, calendars, and so on and so forth. And those are also suggestions for tools that help to automate certain tasks. But we've just decided to keep it, easy and free. The automated message received. Thank you so much. Thumbs up, right? And this meeting is being recorded, so you can go over it again and watch those processes and apply them to your own inbox and begin to, gather clients, organize your inbox, a whole lot better. Okay. Now, finally, in the last few minutes that we have for this meeting, right, we mentioned that it's going to be a 2-hour meeting. Let's look at research, using AI tools for research purposes. Smart research, not just Googling. Start finding information that you need. So, my dear academics, this part may be very useful for you, whether it's in academics or just about, in businesses. This part will be very, very, useful for you. Now, the problem with LLMs is a lot of times they hallucinate. I've talked about this, right? And that's because not all of these LLMs use recent or real data. The earlier models that we have for ChatGPT was trained with data sets up until 2000. Right? So it wasn't recent in any way, shape, or form. It's only giving information up onto that era, right? In today's world, we have new AI models that are synced with, today's information, right? And there are even AI models that allow you to go to deep research to sort of access live information as it is happening in the world now. They have access to it and they can base their results on those information, right? A very wonderful one is Gemini, right? Because alongside Gemini also cites where it's gotten its sources from, right? And to give you real-time information, right? Not all LLMs that you may use would you expect to to do that. All right. So how can we use this in a typical space? All right, so in a typical space, this is how you will use an LLM for market research. So I'm going to over to my screen now, and this time around, I'm going to open a new tool. Now, this, for me, in my opinion, is the best tool out there for research purposes, particularly those in the education space. Now, I said particularly for them, it doesn't mean it's only for them, right? And it's called Google's Notebook LM, right? I can't seem to get my mind off this tool. It's perhaps, in my opinion, one of the most robust solutions that Google has released out there today. And for the fact that they've made it free also gives it very huge traction amongst every other tool that's out there for research purposes. So notebooklm.google takes you to this page, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on Try Notebook LM. If you have not been previously signed up, it will ask you to sign up. Of course, because you have a Google account already, it will do that automatically for you. Use your Google account and so on. Right? And then it will bring you to a page that looks just like this. Sorry, I don't have a lot of information going on this, my particular Notebook LM, because this is not my main account, right? But for my other Notebook LM, there are more informations. I've used it a whole lot. It's a very superb tool. Now, I'll lean towards the education aspect for a little bit, but of course, it's not limited to the education aspect. So I'll create a new notebook. We want to use this for research purpose, remember. Now, I have several options for this particular notebook, right? I have options from, maybe I have some documents in my Google Drive. There are websites that I need to scan through for particular information that I need. I can add those websites link. If it's a YouTube information, a YouTube video, or some text that I copied from somewhere, anywhere, shape or form, right? I can paste them in. Right? These are all options that you can use, that you have access to. But in the case where you are lost, you don't have any sites, no nothing, blah, blah, blah. Take, for example, let's say you want to start a business. You are brainstorming ideas for a business. Let's just do current, should we do fashion, current shoe startup trends in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm just doing now. I didn't plan this, just so that you can also see how powerful it is, right? So I'm seeing some website. This says top startup in fashion tech in Lagos, trending shoes in Nigeria. I'm just going to copy this link, copy link address. I'll bring it to Notebook LM. I'll click on website and I'll paste that website and I'll insert it. Now, what it will do, it will go to that website and then sort of give me a summary. So now it has given me a summary of that website. I'm not limited to that. I mean, you can keep adding as many sources as you want to, right? But remember, I was saying that in the case where you don't have, you don't even have an idea, you don't have sources, is that the end? No. So I'll click on add sources again. That page comes up again. And this time around, I can discover sources, right? So I can search the web. So, for example, I want to do startup trends and limitations, right? I can decide to do a fast web search or a deep, an in-depth report and results, right? Again, there's someone that asks about academics, right? This part is very important, right? Again, I'm using the web. This is not in my Google Drive, so I'm getting all of this information from the web. So let's just do a fast research mode because of time. And so what Notebook LM is doing now is it is scanning through the internet for information about this phrase that I have added. If I had gone for the deep research mode, this will even be much more in-depth. So inside those boxes, when you are discovering sources, you can express yourself in any way, shape, or form. I want to start a local manufacturing business. I'm trying to write a project on this and this. Express yourself as much as you can. The moment you click on search or enter, it will go to the internet and begin to pull live resources from many different places, right? Now that it has gotten those resources, right, I'm going to click on view all. Now I can just look at the heading and choose whether or not I want this to be added. Right? If it is not relevant, I can untick it. If it's relevant, I leave it there. If I want to quickly view it to know whether it is relevant or not, I can click on that. It will open on the new page, right? That's a PDF document, right? So it's loading on a new page where I can now read the information whether or not it is relevant. That's a PDF document. Let's see this website while this is loading, whichever comes up first. So this is a website. I can quickly scan through it to see, is this information relevant, and so on and so forth. So don't just judge by the title that is up here. You also have the option to quickly spy at those information, right? If they are all good and they are what you want, right, you can go ahead and import them. So it will bring everything to this your notebook, to this particular notebook that you are working on. You can create many more notebooks. You're not limited to just this one notebook. You can just keep creating, create new, right? And so on and so forth. I would have loved to show you my other notebook LM, the one from my main account, how that I've exploited this tool so much. Now that I have all of these sources, coming here, it is going to give you a summary of the sources based on the information, based on these sources, right? It will give you a summary of all of the information that is contained in every single one of these sources. It will summarize it for you. So this is a research partner. You have questions that you want to ask them here. It will give you a response based on what all of these sources are saying. So, would a shoe making startup be viable? Sorry. Oops. Okay, sorry. It took me out of my notebook. Sorry. Sorry about that. So I'll just quickly get back in. So I'll come back to the notebook. Remember, I said you can create as many notebooks, but let's just stick to this. So this is coming up, even though it's a bit slow. I'm just going to close this. I'll just close these other tabs. All right. So would a shoemaking startup be viable in Lagos now? Also, on a scale of 1 to 10, how viable would it be? 1, bad. 10, extremely good. This is just as though you are talking to a friend. You can ask that question, and then it will scan through all of the resources, live resources. This is not 2 years ago. It will take it based on those websites that you use, and then it will give you a response, and you can make informed decision with this. So in your workplace, your annual reports that you normally have, you can bring it into Notebook LM and ask it, how can we improve on this area in our workspace? This thing that we are doing, how can we refine it, make it better? How can we make it align with global practices, and so on and so forth? Now, based on those information, see how it has generated information for me. A show making startup in Lagos would face demanding blah, 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 blah. The assessment of viability is based on the strong consumer demand, and so on and so forth. Now, you can read all of this, right? Local brand opportunities, available talent pool, strong local, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on. And then remember the last part, I said you should score it on viability. And it's giving me a rating of 6/10. And it has given the reason why it's giving that 6/10. Now, in case you are wondering where it is getting all of this, this is not hallucination. This is based on the information. See where it got this particular source from, right? It is showing you where this particular source, why it is making those decisions it is making. So it's loading up the sources, right? All on one tool, Notebook LM. And the beautiful thing is Notebook LM is also available on mobile devices, right? It is not as advanced as what you would get with a laptop, but it offers some of these basic functionalities, right? This is where it got that information from, and why it is giving you all of those information based on those resources, those sources that we gave it to choose from. So powerful research can be done via Notebook LM. There are many more things that can also happen with Notebook LM. If you are using it as a study guide, you've put in all of the course materials that they give you for this term, right? Or even, like I was saying earlier, your annual report, you've put it in there. You can generate a report, right? You can generate an audio overview, a summary. This part I usually like to demo for a whole lot of my students, right? Even though this may take some time, it will generate an audio overview. Okay, I'll just click on all of them. together. So let's generate a report. Do we want a briefing document, a study guide, a blog post, and so on and so forth, a policy proposal, explanatory article, section analysis, investment thesis, a whole lot of things that we can do with Notebook LM. And it will do this again based on those resources that you gave to it. If your resources are not robust enough, you can go and add more. Notebook LM is not going to complain. You can keep adding more and more resources, right? So I'll skip that resource. You can generate a video overview, an infographic, a quiz. I'm more concerned about this audio overview because this audio overview allows us to do something interesting. It will generate an audio summary for us. And in addition to that audio summary, it will allow you have a live session. So it's going to generate it like a podcast. Two people will be talking about this topic, Nigerian shoe trends, right? Seasonal market peaks, right? You have two AI generated conversation, like a podcast talking about it, and it will allow you enter the conversation. You can pause them to ask questions, right? You can pause them to ask questions and they would respond. The question can be on the sources that you put in or beyond the resources that you put in. So you have sort of like a friend that you can talk to about, the idea that you are brainstorming, asking questions about. Okay, what time is this ending? Actually, this meeting is supposed to end for 6 on the dot. We've shot 5 minutes ahead of that time. But I think that this is a very good place to conclude today's session. With all of those that I've said, in a nutshell, remember we've talked about 3 things. We've looked at 3 things. The first is AI prompting, and we've learned a new formula, the CTC formula, context, task, and constraints. We also looked at 2 ways that you can use to automate your workflow process, generate automated emails, send automated emails, or even, apply some filters, some labels, some sort of sorting to your mail box. Lastly, we've looked at research. A very powerful tool that I've shown to you is Notebook LM and the wonderful tool that it offers, right? This is not just offline. It is live resources and information. Please expect that after this meeting ends, later on today or just very early tomorrow, you will get the task, the projects that you are expected to work on. You can take Monday, Tuesday. I think the submission time would be either Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure when it was set to, but would expect that all of this information comes in. Sorry, it's going to be very demanding. Remember, we said it's going to be a certificate course. We are not just telling you this for ed knowledge. We also want to see you practice it, and let's see the results that you generated from it, because we are hopeful that these tools and these ideas, these skills would change how you work, will make you much more productive. And of course, we'll be looking forward for testimonies after we've concluded this entire training session. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a very exciting moment. Thank you for being patient enough with us for this wonderful session. Sorry, we had to give a 10-minute delay just to accommodate more people to join us. And that's why we have extended to 6:08. But we are done for the training for today, right on time. And I would do well to hand over to Barrister Fumi. Thank you again. My name is Kolawole Jishakin Solomon, and I've been a facilitator for today.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Solomon. Can I see those emojis? Those emojis. I need to see your reactions. Those emojis to show that we really, really, really enjoyed this class. For me, it's an high open for me. Sincerely, I've learned a lot today, and I'm very sure I'll improve in my prompting, because I use AI tool a lot for research and for writing. I use it a lot. Who is that? Could you please mute? Sorry, let me check who that is so that I can mute the person. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mudashir, for muting yourself. So as I was saying, I use the AI tool a lot, and I've learned a lot today. Thank you so much, Mr. Ejishakin. We really, really enjoyed this, and I am very sure we all also enjoyed this session. For us to, before I wrap up, please, I want to ask: do we have any question or clarification? If you have any question, you can raise your hand if you want us to hear from you for just a few minutes so that we can round up and not take much of your time again. Anyone have question or clarifications? Can we please just indicate before we round up? Anyone? Okay, no question. I'm glad. That means we all enjoyed the class, and also Mr. Ejishakin was clear enough. It was quite practical. It's a practical one. It's quite practical, and we just need to get on it, and start practicing. Because the more we practice, the more we will be able to make good use of these tools. And the purpose now is to work smartly, is to be efficient at our work, either being a business person, a student, an entrepreneur, you're an employee. You can make good use of all these tools. It will make you to be more efficient. Okay, question: can we have access to a study guide or material for effective practice? Okay, Mr. Fanny or Joshua will get on that. But I want to confirm, if you registered, we have emails of all those people that registered. If you only saw the Zoom link and you didn't register, please kindly drop your email address on the group chat now so that I can save that. But if you register and we have your email address, no problem. We'll send the study guide to your email address. And for some, I also have their WhatsApp number. I can definitely forward it to their WhatsApp number too. We also have an access to the Zoom meeting videos too. Yes, you will definitely get access to the Zoom meeting, Mr. Olamipo say, if I'm correct. But please, if we don't have your email address, if you didn't register for this class, okay, I register. Fine, thank you. So you will get it if you registered. We'll send it via email to everybody. And also the task assignment for the week. We'll send it via email to everybody. So thank you so much once again, Mr. Edishaki, and thank you all for your time. Really appreciate it. Today being Saturday, you should be at one Owambe or the other, but you make out that time to be here to join this insightful and inspiring section. It's been a wonderful one having you all here today. Thank you so much. So like I said earlier, I will encourage everybody to take insight that you have learned today and apply them immediately. Start applying, because it's going to go a long way to help you, either in your studies, business, your work, personal growth. Learning becomes powerful when we put it into action. So we need to put it into action. What about adding others to the WhatsApp group? Well, when you registered, we sent the WhatsApp group link. So for everybody, I'll also drop the link before we go now. I'll drop the WhatsApp link just a minute before we round up. So once again, thank you all for being here. And I will say enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful weekend. So next week, Saturday, we'll have the second part of our training. Next week, Saturday will be by 2 p.m. 2 p.m. because Mr. Ejishaki will be having a busy day that Saturday. So please make out time to join us next week, Saturday, so that you can have the full package. You can have the full package. Then after the session next week, Saturday, we'll work towards the certificate. Like we promised, you're going to get a certificate. And please, when you get the assignment, try as much as possible to make out time to work on it during the week, because that is what we will use to issue certificate, because we want participants to work on this, apply them, and get results. We need results. That's the purpose of this workshop and training. We need results. So please kindly do your task assignments, and see you next week, Saturday. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Ejishaki. So before I go, let me just look for for the link and drop it for those that are not there. Let me check if I can quickly do that now. It's going to take a little time to get is the community, the tech community. So let me just get the link. Um, um, is Timilane still there? Timilane, if you are there and you can get the link on time for me, I would appreciate that. I'm not here in the group yet, though, but I've registered that. Okay. All right, Mr. Olamipo, say we'll do just that. But let me see if I can get the link here. Okay, I've sent it. Confirm, copy link. Okay, good. So the link will drop shortly. So for those that want to join, please just give me a minute. I'll drop the link. No, I'm not replying. Okay. Okay, so okay.
Who's that? Wow.
I don't know. But not to worry, not to worry. Since I have your WhatsApp number, it's taking time for me to get the link. Since I have some of our participants' WhatsApp number and email address for Mr. Olayinka, I'll note it down. I have your email address. Since you registered, I'll send it to you. And I'll also drop it on the group for every other person to have access to it. I don't know, it's just delaying right now. Okay, no, not the Google form link, Timilane, is the WhatsApp, the community group link. That's what we are trying to paste on the. That's what we are trying to paste. I just sent myself a mail. I don't know why it's not dropping. Just the network. I don't know. Okay, you know what? Let me. Okay, should get it now. The internet is. Why is not dropping? Oh, okay. It's this network can be funny sometimes. It just dropped now. So if you are still on the call and you still need the link, I'll just drop the link and wait for some minutes before Control V. And oh, sorry, I'm supposed to paste that. Okay, please, please. All right, okay, that's it. That's the for the community. So sorry it took a lot of time for me to get it. Oh, okay. Someone already dropped the group link. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, all right. Thank you, Mr. Dimo Jensen. Good to have you here. So thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Looking forward to subsequent updates. Yes, 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 yes. You will definitely get it. So thank you all. So we'll end it here. See you next week. Thank you, Mr. Solomon, once again.